Hey there, it's day 89 of a screenwriter's journey. And warning, warning, we're getting toward the end. I just realized that because I was exporting some of the video files prior to doing the this voiceover. And man, getting toward the end, it's kind of, well, that'd be stupid to say bittersweet because I'm sure it's not the end. But I should say it's the end of all I've done and getting to a place where I'm about ready to do something with the script. Maybe. Anyways, let's not get into the model and details. So this is like the third day, although the previous 2 days were shorter and this day's a little bit longer, that I've been into this conversation between Paul and Holly. And I know you're just super excited to see how it comes out because so am I. One thing I did realize is that I had Paul all off screen, and that doesn't really make sense for a long conversation. Certainly you could play it that way if you had some reason to, or some device or conceit or something. But, you can play phone conversations, which I've talked about before. I have a lot. And I need to watch a TV show, a modern TV show, or relatively, and see, or movie, and see how many phone conversations are really involved. Maybe I have way more than I should. But basically, you can obviously intercut between the two people. So you see both people, you hear both people. You can stay on one side of the call and hear the others through a filtered voice, through the telephone. And then, of course, there's the way where you just hear one side of the conversation and you have to glean the other side by what the person says. And that can be really interesting. I enjoy writing that sort of thing, but that usually works best in fairly short doses. So I am revisiting this again. So I have It Really Shook Me, the motherly instincts. They were strong enough for you from leaving. So what changed? So as I'm writing, and I'm sure this happens with all writers, I'm not really sure, but you write and then you think and then you tweak and then you write and then you go away and then you come back. And it's like, what is at the heart of this conversation? What are you really trying to get to? And sadly, I would say more often than not, I don't really know that going in because I haven't outlined as thoroughly as I should have. I haven't written the whole treatment. But I contend, and I've contended before and I'll contend again, that you really don't know your story until you write the screenplay. I don't think you can know a story good enough. Just, you think it up in your head and you write it out. And even if you write it like a novel, well, if you wrote a whole novel, obviously you would know it. But if you write even a 5 or 10 or 15 page treatment, because I've sort of done that, but I don't think you know the characters until you live with them a long time. And the only way I can really live with them is to get them into a screenplay. So let's fast forward to the present. Holly says Justice Martinez is what changed. And so I thought, and I think this is an idea I pretty much had on the spur of the moment. I don't know exactly when I thought about this, but what if Justice Martinez has an 18-year-old daughter? And so when she, and she's known what Holly's doing all along, and that this little girl is now like getting to be 18 also. So maybe I thought Justice Martinez is sympathetic toward her, or at least empathetic, or is like, wow, if my 18-year-old daughter was in trouble, what would I do? Would I leave her, possibly in danger to go for a new job, a new assignment? Would I drop everything and go back? And so when Holly discovers that she does, which she does in her research, we don't explicitly say it. I don't. I always say we. I sometimes say we, and I don't like saying that. Because there is no I in we. Or how does that go? No, just kidding. So I'm thinking when Holly finds that out, would she come back because she's trying to outthink the judge and prove that she's every bit as good of an aunt in a way as she is a mother? And wow, if she thinks that I would abandon this girl to come to work for her, that's not going to win me any brownie points. Or is she going to think of it in a different way and say, you know, Lexi sort of is like my daughter, and holy cow, I'm not old enough to have an 18-year-old daughter, but if I was, would I do what I have done so far? So I think between the two of those, it seems like a compelling reason. And maybe she doesn't really need a reason, but that is the thing that pushes her over the edge. So as you see on the dialogue I've got on 79 and 80, and you can see my page count is up to 108 because of this scene. I didn't know that, but she knows I've been protecting a girl the same age as her daughter. You think that went into make your decision? If it did, how do you think she'd feel if she knew I cut and run? There's no way you could have known that wrong. You said it before motherly instincts. So I kind of like that. I think it's a long way to get to where I want to go. And then on top of 80, after all these years, the dream comes along, and the reason I get picked for it is the reason I can't take it. That is an interesting dilemma, and I like that, but is it too wordy? Is it really something, again, you have to go back to the context. She's standing there behind a tree. She's gotten fired at. You know, she's kind of speaking in a low, hushed voice. So this guy who she doesn't know that it's Clyde, but so Clyde won't come and find her. So this obviously can't go on too long, and they're not going to have a real deep conversation, and yet they have to get to this point where Holly really feels bad. So I don't appreciate you being child. How many assignments have you passed me over because you thought something might happen to me? Don't do this. Give me a number. All right, so that's it. So I wish I could break my rule and pause. Give me a number 0. When Holly hears that, she is just totally rocked. I wrote his answer freezes Holly, and I could have written that a million different ways. But imagine that this whole time, or at least for a while, certainly, she's thought that Paul has kept her where she is because she doesn't want her in danger or something. But what he's telling her, if he's telling her the truth, is, how many times have you passed me over for something because of that reason? And when he says 0 after pressed to get an answer, when I thought of that, and again, it's kind of fun, it's kind of exciting, it gives you a kind of a writer's adrenaline rush when you think of stuff right on the spur of the moment. You get into a conversation, sometimes you know where it's going to end, and you're trying to get to that punchline, and sometimes you don't. And so now I'm just adding a little more drama. Give me a number, a long silence. Give me a number, more silence. And then he says 0. And wow, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm a little too close to it. But I think that's kind of a cool moment. And to me, the whole point of that is that gets her to the all is lost. Because not only does she hear that for the first time, but it's that who told it to her, this guy who she really respects and, is looking out for her, and she thinks is looking for, getting her career advanced, et cetera, which he is, and yet he tells her 0. So hopefully that's a powerful enough all is lost moment. And then because it is a moment, it's not like you can just sit there and let the audience soak it in for 30 seconds and just pause and reflect on it and say, oh, all is lost, poor Holly, which is totally stupid, I realize. But so unlike, the finale, which could be a chase scene, it could be a gunfight, or fun and games or the setup, which necessarily is going to be many pages. How long can All Is Lost be? How long can that take? Is it a single word? Is it a single scene? Is it someone getting killed? Like Ben Kenobi, when he gets killed in the first Star Wars movie, that's obviously an All Is Lost. And so we see Luke just for a second, and then it's next thing, hey, we got to go, and they jump on the Millennium Falcon. So, and then Luke is sort of sitting there, and that's kind of the Night of the Dark Soul, I think, or Dark Night of the Soul. I still haven't looked that up. So how long can that last? So as I wrote that, when he says 0, I am thinking, okay, what comes next for Holly to kind of keep her down in the depths of despair? So that's what I'm working on right now. Stuns Holly. That's probably better than freezes Holly. Okay, bang. So I'm now the gunfight is getting more immediate, and Paul is still on the phone. Obviously, she's got to hang up or disconnect, whatever you do on a cell phone, and deal with this more immediate threat. And now that I think about it, if you really wanted to analyze it, she's got the threat of thinking while Paul has just told her this big truth, and the other threat of Clyde here. When you're walking the airport, like a long shot in directions. Body. Okay, so I mean, this is definitely, in my opinion, my humble opinion, getting better. Rifle at the ready. I just need 30 seconds. Distance. Bolt to another tree. Bang. She screams. Okay, yeah. So I did add that. So I thought, she's gotten, in a way, metaphorically shot by Paul. What if she gets shot in real life? I just realized that sort of that parallel right now. And obviously she's no one thinks she's going to be killed, but if she could be injured, wounded, this is the first time we've seen her really feel the effect of what might be a dangerous job. She certainly hasn't, felt much of an effect the past 14 years. So she is laying on the ground. She's injured. We don't know to what extent. She sees everyone get in the vans and whatever and drive off. So then that in the back to scene, right in the middle of 80, I'm trying to figure out, I don't know that I really looked it up, but I'm not big on blood and injuries and how people get hurt and all that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking, what kind of injury, what kind of damage could be done to her leg that would be more bloody than, well, it could still be painful, but it wouldn't be disabling. It wouldn't, severely affect her, because obviously I'm not going to put her on crutches or something, but it has to be something that is maybe more visible. So when others see it, it's like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then I'm okay. I have to go on. So you can see what I wrote, and I don't know that I'm going to spend a bunch of time until I get people reading it to change it. But I think if you got shot right above the knee, I don't know what bones or muscles or tendons or whatever the bullet would go through, but I'm thinking it's almost more of a graze. It obviously hits her. She's got a hunk of flesh. She's bleeding. So she takes her pant leg, and, well, you can read what happens. But again, this doesn't need to be a big thing. And obviously we can't sit here and dwell on it for 2.5 pages or something like that. But I do think that, to me at least, right now, this sort of magnifies the All Is Lost and can turn it into the next little thing where all is lost. Wow, I must have talked a lot more than I thought. So the kids are gone. She's injured. She's just learned from Paul that really maybe she isn't qualified as she thought. Her ego is bruised. Her leg is wounded. So what do you think in the comments right after you do what? Share, like, subscribe. I need more subscribers. I'm embarrassed to say how many subscribers I have, so I won't say it. But If anyone leaves a comment, no one has so far, but that's all right. Uh, but anyways, day 88. Day 88? Holy smokes. In the bag. It's a wrap. Day 89. We know there's at least one more day. As I said at the beginning, we are getting near the end, at least for now, which probably means I won't. I don't know that well, never mind. I won't say that. All right. Sorry for the rambling. See you tomorrow.